Hi, welcome to Luxury in Moderation, where we appreciate the finer things in life without going overboard. Today, I wanted to talk about fine jewelry, giving you the basics on how to start a fine jewelry collection. If you're new here, my name is Joanne, and every week I upload videos about luxury handbags and other luxury lifestyle products to hopefully give you some really good tips, or if you're just interested in this topic. So if you like what you hear, please remember to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to join me on this luxury journey. So thank you to one of my lovely subscribers who asked what you need to know when you start looking for fine jewelry. This video is going to go over some basics that we can build our knowledge off of. So I have my trusty caboodle here where I store all of my jewelry. If you saw my jewelry collection, you'll see that in the background as well. And I'll be showing you close-ups of some pieces to reference what I'm talking about as I go over my tips. So the very first thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking about purchasing fine jewelry is I want to make sure it's the real deal. You know, I don't want to be purchasing fake gold, fake diamonds, fake whatever. So I need to have some way of certifying that what I'm buying is worth the high cost. So when it comes to diamonds, we usually get something called a GIA certificate, which stands for Gemological Institute of America, which is like this organization that actually certifies your diamond is a real diamond and you are not paying for like cubic zirconia or crystal or something else that is not what you think it is. So when you are ready to purchase something, you should ask for these details. If it's not a GIA certificate, what other certificate does this store offer? So you can verify, first of all, to yourself that you're getting what you think you're getting. And also, if you plan on selling in the future, how do you also then verify to the seller that it's the real thing? Very similar to when you buy a luxury handbag, you have that authenticity card. You should also be getting something for fine jewelry. The second thing when it comes to fine jewelry is that beauty and its associated value is in the eye of the beholder. So what do I mean by that? Well, my mother taught me that fine jewelry or any jewelry is very subjective. You know, what you think is a beautiful diamond shape, I might think it looks terrible, or vice versa. Very similar to art. The value that people are willing to pay for something is really dependent on each individual. Right now in the world, there is a level of understanding that diamonds are precious and therefore we are willing to pay more for diamonds. But if we were all to decide and agree that, you know, diamonds aren't really worth that much, then the value of the diamond would actually go down. So first you should understand what like the market rate for something is. Like, what is the market rate for gold? It fluctuates because gold isn't exactly worth, let's say, $100. Some days when we think that gold is scarce and a lot of people want it, it could be worth more than that. And then other days when there's the same amount of gold, but nobody wants it because let's say everybody wants platinum, then the value of gold goes down. So what you're paying for is kind of like the collective demand or want of that particular thing, whether it be diamond, sapphire, gold, or whatever. And also you should decide on what you are willing to pay for diamond or silver or gold or whatever you want. So this is also going into the brand of jewelry. So there are tons of jewelry you can get that are non-branded. Most of my pieces are non-branded. It's made by a local jewelry shop, but other people want to only buy branded jewelry and they put a lot of value in the brand name. So the exact same diamond from a local shop, if it was a Tiffany branded diamond, that could increase the price by a lot. and that is the value that that person is willing to pay for the name Tiffany. So basically this boils down to there is a lot of options out there actually that sell fine jewelry. There's a lot of mom and pop shops, there's a lot of brands that you may not have heard of that are not internationally known brand names like Tiffany or Van Cleef and Arpels, but they could still be a real diamond, they could still be real gold, and if you don't want to pay for that brand name, you don't have to. The next thing to know is about gold. And if you're just starting to learn about gold, you should know that pure gold is actually very soft. It's bendable, it's not very durable, you could scratch it. And that's why a lot of fine jewelry is not made out of 24 karat gold, because it'll just be hard for that piece to keep its shape. I'll leave a reference link below about the different kinds of gold you can have, but basically a lot of the gold jewelry that we have is not 100% gold. They actually mix a lot of different chemicals with gold so that gold can become tougher, stronger, more durable, and not as malleable and soft. So then you have to decide what percent gold you want. The lower carat gold you have, the least amount of actual gold is in there. So for example, 10K gold is less than 50% gold, and then they actually mix other chemicals in there like iron or some other tougher material. And then as you go up to 14K gold, 18K gold, there is more and more gold in it, but then the piece becomes softer or it's more prone to scratches. So there's definitely different levels of gold, and each have its pros and cons. All right, so now let's get into some gemstones. Why are they so expensive and what should you look for? Well, the price of gemstones and basically what people normally want in a gemstone is all about light. People have always been attracted to sparkly things, right? And that is what we want to see in jewelry. So the 4 C's, color, clarity, cut, and carat, that all has to do with how shiny it is and how much light gets through the gemstone and bounces off of the facets inside and makes it sparkle more. And this doesn't just apply to diamonds, it applies to any gemstone like rubies, emeralds, sapphires. Basically, the more sparkly the gemstone is, the more expensive it is. Now, the carat is an easy one because obviously if you have a bigger surface area, more light can hit the gemstone and it will reflect that light and basically bounce it back and make it shiny. When it comes to cut, there are different kinds of cuts. So not only in the shape, whether it's a circle or a square or an oval, and all of those bounce light differently. It's also about the proportion of the cut. So for example, if you cut a circle diamond too deep, then the light will go into it, but then it'll kind of sink into the bottom and it won't reflect properly and it'll be less shiny. So that's why when they grade cut, it's also about oh, is this a good proportioned cut? And then you have color. So you could have a very dark colored ruby, or you could have a really light colored ruby. And all of those are also going to reflect the light differently. Clarity is also very closely related of if you have random spots inside of the stone, or let's say the stone looks muddy because there's different chemicals mixed into, let's say, the carbon that makes the diamond, you are really going to not have a lot of light bounce around in there. That dark spot is going to kind of suck all the light out of the gemstone and it won't sparkle as well. So just remember that light is the guiding light of, what makes a gemstone desirable and also therefore increases the cost of it. And that's why you'll also notice that anytime a gemstone is set, they always leave a hole at the bottom because you don't want the light to go through the gemstone and then just hit like a black wall, and that's just going to suck all the light in and not bounce it back. They also want light to come in through the back of the diamond or gemstone and come up through the top and make it sparkle more. And the last thing to know about fine jewelry and what you're paying for is the labor cost. So there's definitely a difference when it comes to pieces that are very well made and other pieces that could be more coarse and rough. I like to think of this like china. Like you have fine china, you have bone fine china, and then you have those really big clunky mugs where, you might be a soup bowl or a coffee mug. And, that's not to say that a big, thick coffee mug isn't bad. I love a big, thick coffee mug for like a hot cup of tea or coffee, but that's not what I want on my finger. Like, I don't want to be lugging around a heavy piece of metal on my neck or my fingers or my earlobes. So I like to look for pieces that are more delicate looking, that feel nice on my skin. So, it's going to be polished, it's not going to be rough and scratch my skin. So when you're thinking about jewelry, something that's going to be touching your skin a lot, it really is a big deal to make sure you find something that feels good against your skin. So for fine jewelry, the tactile feel of it is very important. Some material like jade is cooling on the skin and that's why they like it. Or people say like gold is warm to the touch or a diamond is. So, it's really personal as well. What feels good to you, what might react to your skin will be different as the next person. But as a normal rule, most people like things that are smooth against their skin and not rough. Part of the labor cost is also the expertise on setting a gemstone. So those like claws that keep the gemstone in, those have to be the right balance of strong and sturdy, but not blocking the light. So that also takes some expertise. And then finally, there could be a very delicate piece of jewelry that doesn't have a lot of big gemstones, but there might be a lot of little pave gemstones. So you might think that it shouldn't be that expensive because the gemstones aren't big, but it also takes a lot of time and effort to set each one of those little gemstones in place. And so they look nice and they're not poking out and they're not at weird angles and it looks smooth and like a cohesive piece. So that delicate piece could actually be quite expensive for the labor and the time that went into making this piece of jewelry. I hope this video was helpful in explaining what I've learned over time. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm very happy to answer them, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye!